The United States and Britain monopolize the forefront of financial civilization in today's world. The United States and Britain have taken the lead in entering the financial civilization, and each has its own expression of financial civilization. The financial civilization of the UK is a classic conservative model, mainly banking and insurance, which effectively helped the Industrial Revolution and trade development of the UK avoid risks. The financial civilization of the United States is mainly represented by the investment model, represented by the stock market and derivative markets. It conforms to the speculative nature of Americans, helps the United States successfully complete the main stages of industrial civilization, such as Western development, railway construction, and canal construction, and quickly enters the new economic civilization from industrial civilization. In addition to having financial civilizations that adapt to their respective national conditions and characteristics, the financial civilization of the United States and Britain has also become a strategic point for them to control the world. National strategic means such as controlling the international banking system, controlling the global hard currency, and mastering the international capital market ensure that the financial civilization of the United States and Britain takes the lead. From a deeper analysis, there are three more reasons. Firstly, the financial surplus in the United States and Britain was the earliest and most severe, and the detachment of the virtual and real economy was the most thorough. In recent years, worldwide financial assets are rapidly rising in multiples, with the United States alone accounting for 1/3 of the global financial scale. Using the stock market for example, the market capitalization of the US and UK stock markets accounts for up 2% of GDP. When the financial surplus reaches a certain level, the virtual economy exists independently of the real economy. Currently, the size of the virtual economy in the United States is more than times that of China, and the size of the virtual economy in the UK is also more than times larger than that of China. Nowadays, global foreign exchange transactions have basically deviated from the operation of the real economy. Among the daily transactions of $1 trillion do not have any trade or production background, purely for the sake of profit-seeking needs of funds. The operation of this part of the virtual economy follows its own laws, such as high vulnerability, conceptual pricing, etc., fully reflecting the game rules of financial civilization, which are completely different from the game rules of industrial civilization. The detachment of excess financial capital from the virtual and real economy provides a prerequisite for the formation of financial civilization. For listing, in 80% this situation undermines the balance between power and responsibility, thus making the political philosophy of the country the opposite of the trend. The main reason for domestic terrorist incidents to occur is the lack of national social and personnel responsibility matching refers to the contradiction and conflict of interests among the three parties being greater than harmony and consistency. And the destruction of this trinity relationship still stems from the division of interests and the imbalance between enjoying power and assuming responsibility. If national responsibility is still understood as unlimited joint and several responsibility for all actions, then as much hope as disappointment, national responsibility will be more manifested in providing and ensuring equal opportunities for individuals, and providing transfer payments to some vulnerable groups. In addition, the ability to provide normal channels and platforms for communication and exchange, so that fairness and justice can effectively play a role in handling unfair events, is also a requirement for national responsibility. Social responsibility is reflected in providing individuals with opportunities and conditions for free competition. Only on this basis can individuals have the possibility of equal competition, and only then can they not complain and hate society in the event of failure. The premise for all of this is still that the country is independent of social interests and has a responsibility for national power and borders. A clear definition of the boundary involves a fundamental issue in China's current economic structure: ownership superstition. Breaking this superstition has become the top issue in deepening reform and purifying national motivation. In the process of market-oriented reform in China, the relationship between state-owned assets and private assets does indeed reflect the trend of returning from abroad and advancing with the people. However, national retreat does not necessarily equate to democratic progress, and the weight of the two is not a trade-off in the adjustment process. In fact, the current situation is that state-owned assets are constantly strengthening and consolidating, while private assets are constantly being sacrificed and hovering on the edge. Although the 12th National Congress began to put forward common ownership as the main body and other forms of ownership as beneficial supplements, the National Congress put forward common ownership as the main body and a variety of economic sectors developed together for a long time. The National Congress determined common ownership as the core and non-public economy as an important part of the entertainment. Mobile TV and online gaming competitions have emerged one after another, and even the Second Life allows people to live an alternative life, which is a product of young people's right-brainedness. Moreover, the right brain's counteraction and subversion of the left brain have already appeared. The separation of the real and virtual economy allows stock prices to no longer rely on physical performance but instead on imaginative space. Whoever has a good story can control expectations, and the stock price rises quickly. The emergence of Google culture, with its casual and entertaining work culture, calls for freedom to play and emphasizes entertainment. Feeling and wasting time correctly have instead become manifestations of efficiency, and such things precisely indicate the expansion of the development space of the right brain. Continuing like this, the focus of the future will clearly shift from left brain to right brain. But this does not mean left brain. The brain will be abandoned. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth, and science is the primary productive force are still unchanging truths. Left-handed thinking methods such as logic and calculation are still in use, but the variables that affect the situation increase, and factors interact with each other. In addition, the weight of uncertainty factors such as expectations increases. As reform enters the deep water zone, scientific and rational thinking frameworks are actually constrained. Jumping out of the frame with right brain thinking may be more practical. Therefore, the two tractive forces of the aging left brain and the youth right brain are likely to launch a tug of war, so that the problem is no longer a multiple choice that is either left or right, and the solution will also become the middle way of both left and right and neither left nor right. This shift in mindset will drive turbulence at all levels of society, rapidly pulling society into a new era of business opportunities. On the one hand, as the focus of future society shifts from the left brain to the right brain, from rationality to sensibility, from technology to emotion, from the switch from efficiency to satisfaction will also shift the requirements for goods from functionality to ethics, from usefulness to entertainment, from one-way to interactive, and from material to spiritual. This change is not perceived through abstract thinking or rigid mode operations, but rather through personal experience and self-exploration. Free trials, free tasting, interactive AIs for home appliances, and sample rooms are gradually making experiential consumption mainstream, and online experiential marketing has enabled the domestic trial customer base to exceed 3 million. The comprehensive emergence of the experience economy indicates that the concept-era business opportunities are experienced just as the Chinese people are complacent about the national policy of family planning, which has resulted in 400 million fewer births in China. The aging population has advanced by 23%. 10 years will come. At the end of 2006, the population of elderly people aged 60 and above in China reached 149 million. Experts predict that it will reach 325 million by 2030, accounting for 21.9% of the total population. The typical 4+2+1, where a young couple has to support 4 elderly people and 1 child family structure, structural shortage of labor force, and insufficient social security income are the numerous challenges brought about by aging, which force structural adjustments at all levels of society. And the most crucial one is the transformation of thinking mode under the transition of old and new. The older generation thinks with the left brain. The left brain belongs to logic, rationality, utilitarianism, personal experience, analysis and calculation. The brain processes information in a time-dependent, sequential, and either-or directed manner. Therefore, the left brain almost represents the rule, institutionalization, standardization and mass production, which is just in line with the rules of the industrial age, bringing about the efficiency of collectivism, and also making focusing on big things and pragmatism the most typical way of thinking of the left brain. From the rule of holding chopsticks in the right hand, the arrangement of multiple choice questions on machine reading cards, to the efficiency of Fordism and the scientific worship of industrial civilization. The products under left-brain thinking almost control the past. And in that year generation left-brain control has its inevitability. Firstly, in the early stages of industrialization, the market's ability to allocate resources was weak, and it could only rely on administrative means to concentrate efforts on major tasks to achieve national street rateages. Secondly, the accumulation of primitive capital relies on careful calculation, rationality rather than sensibility, science rather than intuition, and the consolidation of the foundation of the real economy through standardized production based on efficiency rather than the construction of a utopia. Therefore, industrial civilization itself is a civilization dominated by the left brain, and rationality and science are the two of them great magic weapon. But now the situation has made the premise of the era of left brain control gradually fade. Firstly, computerization, miniaturization,